Hi, I'm Chris from Air Windows, and hey, you can do this. Because this is Air Windows discontinuity. Harmless looking, isn't it? It's just a tiny little thing, but it's something that's going to fit into a lot of my stuff going forwards. Because discontinuity is the result of a bunch of research I've been doing over the years. I've always wanted to know how to make stuff sound like it sounds when it's loud in an acoustic space. And I can demonstrate a little bit about what it's doing here. Like, as you can see, we can go all the way up to 140 dB or down to 70. Sticks around about 100 normally. What's that? That would be the loudest sound represented in your file, whatever your file might be. So with Alien Kittens, that hardly makes any sense at all because it's synthetic. There are no real sounds in this. So if it is down to 70 dB, it's as if these are very faint sounds. And then as we crank it up, it becomes more like if you had extremely loud real sounds, like maybe a big old PA system or something. It's more easily heard on something like my track Discord Welcome Home. Where I switched away for a second. So dry, it's like this. Then up to about 120 dB. At close to 120 dB, you start to hear the air crackle. And if you've been to a loud rock concert, you know this sound. And so what we can do is demonstrate. This is a fake rock band, not so loud, and this is a fake rock band so loud it's unbelievable, or worse. So that would be basically the Douglas Adams Band Disaster Area playing their instruments from around an entirely different planet. And that's what air sounds like when it melts down completely. Now, how do we know this? Because I've studied that. Here's some audio clips from a YouTube video that I found of a SpaceX Starship launch. Listen to what happens as I switch in further things. Here's the sound of it launching. But then it goes farther away, like we start with that. At that point, it's only about 5 miles away, but as it keeps going, it's going to go higher up into the atmosphere, meaning that those enormously loud sounds have to go through more air to get to the listener and the microphone. What happens then is there is a discontinuity, hence the name of this plugin. And what it does is something like this. Again, this is just about 5 miles away. Farther away, we start to get this funny stuff happening. And you keep going. That's what happens to air when you drive it too much. When you drive the air too much, there's a pressure discontinuity that changes with it, involves the speed of sound. And it takes an enormously loud rumble, which is what the Starship launch started out like, and it turns it into this. So what would you do if you could turn that into a plugin? Well, clearly, I basically have. And there is a lot of stuff that I'm working on based on this. But you don't just make it into a special effect like that. Not that I'm not working on things. I have Distance 3 coming out, and that will do my best guess at trying to replicate that type of sound while also making stuff dark, as it is when you're literally going across hundreds of miles of air, or however many miles it takes to get up into the atmosphere. What might you do if you were going to be working with this and working with it in a mix? Because you don't necessarily want to make your bass crackle and lose all of its bass in a mix, and you don't necessarily want to lose all your high frequencies in a mix. Here's where this comes into its own. Here is a little audio clip that I can put on, and it is a guitar. So without discontinuity, this is what it is. This is the sound of my guitar, which is fairly loud. It's a Epi Valve Jr. that's heavily modified, so it's not like a Marshall or something. It's just about 5 or so tube watts, distorted quite a lot into a really loud Alnico speaker. It's one of the lowest wattage greenbacks, and that's in an isolation cabinet. So it is making a loud sound, but not really a rock and roll loud sound. And when you simply put a really good microphone up against that, the sound you get is like this, which doesn't actually sound like a big amp or something in an acoustic space. But then if we take that and say, how loud was that most likely? Let's say that was like 90 dB, 93 dB. That's not too overwhelming. You don't want to stick your head right up against it. But then if I turn on discontinuity, like you just saw me adjusting it, now I will turn it on. All of a sudden we're more in the zone as far as getting a sound that will sit in the mix. And that's because loud sounds are supposed to have certain behaviors having to do with the way sound transfers through air. And this is in all kinds of, like Old Cream, the classic guitar part leading off Shine On You Crazy Diamond. All of these things passed through real air, rather than being some kind of DI or power soak off of the raw amplifier. And so you can get a sound like this from a sound like this. But there's more. What if it was even louder than that? Check this out. $106 dB. Different. So 70 dB to, oh there we go, 115. And you can dial in the edge on whatever your loud sound is, especially including things like guitars, where you want to have them come across like they're a loud amplifier, or drums. Microphones don't hear things the way we hear them. This is one way to start affecting that, where the microphone hears things the way we hear them when we're right there. So let's push that even farther. 120 dB. This is bigger than any real amp could do. But we can do more. And there you have it. Discontinuity will get you extreme kinds of saturation, but kinds that work, in a sense, the way air works. It's not a perfect modeling. I can't take a subsonic rumble and put this through this and get exactly the same sound as the spaceship launch. But this is designed to work with all the sounds in your mix, not just impossibly loud ones, not just extremely bassy ones. And so what you want to do with this is apply this to the sounds in your mix in such a way that the various tracks, and remember, this has to do with the 0 dB setting up the track. So if the track is like 30 dB down, then the target you're looking for is going to be about 30 dB higher than if it was just normalized. But the idea is find the relevant sound as to how loud it's supposed to be. And the whole idea of that is to be able to build it into stuff. And, well, check this out. Here's a mix in which each sound is set up using a form of discontinuity to be relevant to what the thing is in the mix, like guitars, drums. Not that you're hearing drums yet, but all of these things are using discontinuity because this is a preview of console X. And we're all working on trying to get the Solex. No, not that one. This one. This is a little preview of what I'm going to be able to offer once I get that finished. It's a working model of what I would like to bring to you as the 10th version of Console. And yeah, it took about an hour to get this mix together. I'm going to have to do it over again because I've changed everything so that it's now a different version of Console. So this mix won't actually play back the same. I'm still working on it. But here's what we've got for the moments. And everything uses discontinuity. I hope you like discontinuity. To consider it a little sneak peek on the things that I'm trying to get together. And on that note, I will get back to work and I'll talk to you later. And discontinuity will come out as the usual AU and VST signed and retro and various kinds of VST, but it's also going to come out in Air Windows Consolidated by the time you see this. So if you want the standalone ones, we've still got those. If you want VST2, I've still got those. But thanks to the fact that the Air Windows Consolidated is a GPL open source project, we've also got VST3 and that as audio unit and LV2 and clap and stuff like that. So I hope you like it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.